I'm all hands right now. I hope everyone's having an amazing night tonight. So I wanted to do a follow-up from last week, a news stories of the day. Seemed like you guys liked that one. I don't know if maybe I can make it a regular series, maybe add some different things to it, but let's get started and see what's in the news. It is currently July 7th, 2022, and the first news story I wanted to talk about is regarding monkeypox. So the U.S. to ship 144,000 more monkeypox shots and expand testing as cases top 700. LabCorp is testing for monkeypox, and a total of 200,000 vaccine doses are being distributed. But that still may not be enough to keep pace with rising infections. The U.S. is stepping up its efforts to address the snowballing monkeypox outbreak, the country's largest to date by far, with 700 confirmed cases. The Department of Health and Human Services announced Thursday that it will distribute 144,000 doses of the two-shot, 𝘥𝘳𝘪𝘯𝘬 vaccine, 𝘥𝘳𝘪𝘯, which is approved for monkeypox and smallpox, to cities and states starting Monday. That's on top of 56,000 doses the department made available last week, of which 41,000 have been delivered. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention also announced Wednesday that LabCorp has begun testing for monkeypox at its main lab in North Carolina, which can accept samples from across the country. LabCorp expects to be able to perform up to 10,000 tests per week, the CDC said, which would double the country's testing capacity. 4 other commercial labs are expected to begin testing in the coming weeks as well, according to HHS. Monkeypox has spread to 54 countries and territories where the virus isn't endemic, according to the CDC, with more than 7,200 cases globally. We have a very good chance at snuffing out this outbreak if we apply the knowledge and the resources that we have appropriately. I'm still hopeful that we can accelerate contact tracing and the timing of detection to quarantine, isolation, and vaccination of close contacts, said 𝘴𝘰𝘮𝘯𝘬, a professor of global health and epidemiology at George Mason University. But so far, U.S. vaccination and testing efforts have hit bottlenecks. I will interrupt this regularly scheduled news article to take a sip of some Perrier, my favorite. I love sparkling water. A French story since 1863. This is like an ad in the middle of a podcast. Perrier. I am obviously not sponsored by Perrier. I just love their product. Clearly I've drank some already. That's so good. Nice and carbonated. All available vaccine appointments were quickly filled in New York and Washington, D.C., and until Wednesday, cities and states were sending all specimens to labs in the CDC's Laboratory Response Network to confirm infections, which led to waits for diagnosis. We are having an issue with supply chain management and logistics when it comes to both vaccines and testing, 𝘥𝑚 said. We saw a lot of the same things with COVID, and we are seeing them unfortunately again with monkeypox. Demand for monkeypox vaccines outpaces supply. Excuse me. California had the highest monkeypox case count in the U.S. on Thursday, 136, followed by New York, 131, Illinois, 91, Florida, 72, and Washington, D.C., 60. Monkeypox vaccines aren't available to the general public. Rather, several cities are distributing shots to people at high risk of contracting the virus. They include those who have had close physical contact with people known to have been infected, as well as men who have sex with men and who have recently had multiple partners. The virus has thus far disproportionately affected gay and bisexual men. In Illinois, the health department said last week that Chicago would receive 3,200 doses, while the rest of the state would get an additional 1,300. I haven't heard too much about monkeypox in the news recently, so it's a bit alarming to see that coming up. Sounds like the case numbers are going up a little bit. Okay, where is my list of articles? Here we go. Okay, next in world news. WNBA star Brittany Griner pleads guilty to drug charges in Russian court. Griner, 31, could face up to 10 years in prison as her family and friends step up their calls for the U.S. government to do more to free her. American basketball star Brittany Griner pleaded guilty to drug charges in a Moscow court Thursday, her lawyer said, leaving her facing the prospect of up to 10 years in prison as her family and friends step up their calls to the U.S. government to do more to free her. So good. Griner, 31, was detained in February at Moscow's Sheremetyevo airport after Russian authorities said they found vape canisters with cannabis oil in her luggage. Excuse me. Griner's lawyer, Alexander Boykov, told reporters outside the courtroom after Thursday's hearing that the basketball star admitted that the vape canisters were hers, but she said she brought them to Russia unintentionally. She was in a hurry as she was packing, and it was just by accident that it ended up in her luggage, Boykov said. He said that Griner is a responsible person in response to a question about why she decided to plead guilty. Considering her personality, that she is a role model to many people, to many young people, she just thinks she should be responsible for her actions, her other lawyer, Maria Blagovolina, told reporters. In a statement, her lawyers added that because of the insignificant amount of the substance found and because of Griner's positive contributions to global and Russian sport, the defense hopes that the plea will be considered by the court, as a mitigating factor, and there will be no severe sentence. Griner's next hearing is scheduled for next Thursday. Her latest court appearance comes after President Joe Biden sought to reassure Griner's wife, 𝘥𝘪𝘯𝘬 Griner, that he was working to secure her release as fast as he could. Griner wrote an emotional letter to the president this week, pleading with him to bring her home. Secretary of State Antony Blinken tweeted after the hearing that U.S. embassy officials attending the trial were to speak to Griner and deliver a letter from Biden. "We will not relent until Brittany, Paul Whelan, and all the other wrongfully detained Americans are reunited with their loved ones," he said. National Security Council spokesperson Adrienne Watson echoed that sentiment. In a statement, she said, "As we've stated before, we believe the Russian Federation is wrongfully detaining Brittany Griner under intolerable circumstances. At the president's direction, the U.S. government continues to work aggressively, pursuing every avenue to bring her home safely to her family, friends, and loved ones as soon as possible. We will continue that work to secure Brittany's release, as well as the release of Paul Whelan and other U.S. nationals who are wrongfully detained or held hostage in Russia and around the world." Let me quickly say I apologize for any names that I'm mispronouncing or any words that I'm mispronouncing. I never realized how many words I didn't know how to pronounce until I started an ASMR channel. But definitely some of these names, I'm sure I'm butchering them, so I apologize to you and to them. I think it's Whelan, by the way. I could be wrong, but I'm going to go with Whelan. Whelan, a former U.S. Marine, is serving a 16-year sentence for espionage. In a tweet after the hearing, Whelan's twin David said he hopes Griner's guilty plea will hasten the end of injustice she's experiencing. Russia won't work to send her home until there's a conviction and a sentence. Boykov, Griner's lawyer, said the basketball star appreciated Biden's letter. Elizabeth Rood, the charge d'affaires at the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, said after the hearing that she was able to speak with Griner in the courtroom, and Griner said that she was eating well. "She is able to read books, and under the circumstances, she is doing well," Rood said in a statement. Griner's arrest took place just days before Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine and has highlighted the frayed relations between Washington and Moscow. The Kremlin has been accused of using Griner as a political pawn, while the Biden administration has said she has been wrongfully detained. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has denied Griner was being held as a hostage. Griner, a 6'9" native of Houston, is a two-time Olympic gold medalist and a center for the Phoenix Mercury, who played for a Russian basketball team during the WNBA's offseason. Her trial began last week. She was led into the courtroom on Thursday in handcuffs, wearing glasses and a red t-shirt and pants. Griner was later joined in the courtroom by 3 U.S. Embassy representatives and her lawyers, with no TV cameras and only a few journalists allowed in. Experts in Russian criminal law say Griner faces at least a minimum of 5 years in prison given the charges, but her decision to admit guilt may have been done to help mitigate receiving the maximum 10-year sentence. Her lawyers could also argue that she deserves less than the mandatory 5 years, said William E. Butler, the author of Russian Law and Legal Institutions, and a professor at Penn State Dickinson Law. "Sentencing here is now crucial," Butler said, adding that the question will be whether there are grounds to give her less than 5. In a statement released to NBC News later on Thursday, Griner's lawyers said they expect the trial to finish in early August and were hopeful for a lenient sentence. Considering the nature of her case, the insignificant amount of the substance, and BG's personality, Brittany Griner, and history of positive contributions to global and Russian sport, the defense hopes the plea will be considered by the court as a mitigating factor and there will be no severe sentence, the statement said. Since her trial started, Her family, friends, and colleagues have increased the calls for the U.S. to do more to bring her home. Her team held a rally in her support in Phoenix on Wednesday, while the Reverend Al Sharpton urged Biden and Blinken on Tuesday to arrange for him and a group of faith leaders to meet Griner in Russia. The White House said Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris called Cherelle Griner on Wednesday to assure her that the president is working to secure Griner's release. He also read her a draft of the letter he was sending Griner, according to the White House readout of the call. It came after Griner said in the handwritten letter addressed to Biden this week that she was terrified she could be in Russian jail forever, imploring him to do all he can to bring her home. In May, the State Department reclassified Griner as having been wrongfully detained and transferred oversight of her case to the State Department Presidential Envoy for Hostage Affairs. U.S. officials have said they are working behind the scenes to free her. So far, Washington has not officially commented on any possible prisoner swaps, despite speculation in Russian state media in May that Griner could be exchanged for convicted Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout, who is serving a 25-year prison sentence in the U.S. NBC News wasn't able to confirm those reports. Russia's foreign ministry said Thursday that publicity and hype in the media and online around Americans detained in Russia impedes the interaction between Moscow and the U.S. on prisoner exchanges, according to the state news agency TASS. Before Griner's guilty plea, Deputy Foreign Ministry spokesperson Alexei Zaitsev said Wednesday that she was arrested for a...
Sunrise will be at 8:18 p.m. tomorrow.
Alexa decided to chime in during my ASMR video. Alexa, bad. She was arrested for a serious offense confirmed by indisputable evidence, but she said she was free to file an appeal. He said she was free to file an appeal and ask for clemency. As to a possible prisoner exchange, Zaitsev said the court would have to reach a verdict first, which he estimated could take at least a month. Brittany sets an example of being brave, her lawyer said in the Thursday statement. She decided to take full responsibility for her actions as she knows she is a role model for many people. That was a long one. That was longer than I expected. Let's see what we have here. Since those first two were a little bit long, I think I might make this the last one. So a bit of good news to end on. Excuse me. After hitting all-time highs, gas prices are finally coming back down. Oil prices are tumbling amid fears of a global recession. Well, I guess that's not good news. Fears of a global economic slowdown have sent oil prices tumbling recently. Less than a month after the national average price of gas in the U.S. reached $5 per gallon for the first time. Since they hit the milestone, the week of June 13th, average weekly gas prices have fallen to about $4.75, according to AAA. The price of worldwide benchmark Brent crude oil fell to about $104 a barrel Thursday, down from nearly $115 last week and well off the highs of nearly $140 reached in March. Central banks around the world, led by the U.S. Federal Reserve, have been seeking to curb inflation by aggressively raising interest rates. Monetary policy officials hope the higher rates will help cool demand by making it more expensive to borrow money, all while avoiding a recession, an outcome observers say is far from guaranteed. All this talk of higher interest rates and recession, that's fear the oil market is reacting on fear. AAA.com spokesperson Andrew Gross said, "It's kind of like the stock market. You have these incredible swings. When it sees rising rates or talk of recession, a global recession, that means an economic slowdown, which means less oil is being consumed. That's bad news for the oil industry, and that's why prices have been dropping." Some analysts expect prices to fall further. Patrick DeHaan, a vice president at the gasoline price tracking website GasBuddy.com, tweeted Thursday that recent oil price plunges could bring gasoline prices down to as low as $4.50 a gallon. That's exciting, $4.50 a gallon. Wow, it's incredible. That's incredible. Patrick DeHaan tweeted, "The national average is down another 2.1 cents per gallon since midnight to $4.739 per gallon. It's possible we could eclipse the previous record drop of 3.1 cents per gallon today. But due to oil's surge today, we likely will not see as much relief as we could have. We could head to $4.50 a gallon nationally." Oil industry analyst Andy Lepau said in a note to clients this week that prices of gas could go even lower at the cost of an overall economic slowdown. That's assuming a hurricane doesn't affect oil markets, he said. "I have been through 6 oil price crashes during my career in the oil industry. A recession could trigger a 7th, he wrote. Because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, oil traders aren't accessing Russian oil supplies, creating a shortage that has helped push prices higher this year. A recession, Lepau said, could reverse the trend. The consumer would get cheaper gasoline at the expense of a slowing economy," Lepau said. Let's hope that continues to drop and that we don't have a recession. We have time for one more. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what we have that's interesting. Interesting. Let's see what is interesting. Okay, we'll do, for our last story of the day, we'll talk about Boris Johnson. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson defiant, firing cabinet minister as wave of resignations hit his scandal-plagued government. Johnson was battling to stay in power as Prime Minister Wednesday, firing cabinet minister Michael Gove after his government was rocked by the wave of quitting ministers. London. A defiant Boris Johnson was battling to stay in power as Prime Minister Wednesday, firing Cabinet Minister Michael Gove after his government was rocked by the resignation of several ministers who said they could no longer serve under his scandal-tarred leadership. Sounds like we have fireworks again. We've been getting fireworks for days now, and I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure 4th of July's been over for a while. It's like everyone bought too many fireworks this year, so they're just using the leftovers. Not the best for my videos. Months of discontent over Johnson's judgment and ethics within his governing Conservative Party erupted with the resignations of Treasury Chief Rishi Sunak and Health Secretary Sajid Javid within minutes of each other on Tuesday evening. In a scathing statement to Parliament Wednesday, Javid said he had concluded that the problem starts at the top and that it is not going to change. This week again, we have reason to question the truth and integrity of all we've been told. At some point, we have to conclude that enough is enough, added Javid. I believe that point is now. His comments came after Johnson faced a tough prime minister's questions, an often rowdy weekly session during which parliamentarians quizzed the premier on a wide variety of issues. Although he was repeatedly asked whether he would quit, Johnson vowed that the job of a prime minister in difficult certain circumstances, when you have been handed a colossal mandate, is to keep going. Even as the session was taking place, Johnson's Environment Minister, Joe Churchill, and Housing Minister Stuart Andrew both released letters announcing their resignations from the cabinet. Johnson also fired Gove on Wednesday, a shocking move that further indicates he refuses to leave his position. Gove's dismissal was a late burst of added drama to a day of twists in Westminster. Within an hour of news breaking on Gove's firing, Simon Hart posted a letter he wrote resigning as Secretary of State for Wales to his Twitter account. I have never been a massive fan of ministerial resignations being the best means of forcing change, Hart's letter read. Colleagues have done their utmost in private and in public to help you turn this ship around, but it is with sadness that I feel we have passed the point where this is possible. In total, 38 MPs have quit the government since Tuesday evening, and the string of resignations from both the Liberal and right-wing branches of the Conservative Party showed that the danger to Johnson was far from over. How we got here. The final straw for Sunak and Javid was the Prime Minister's shifting explanations about his handling of sexual misconduct allegations within Conservative ranks. The latest scandal came to light last week when Chris Pincher resigned as Conservative Deputy Chief Whip amid complaints that he had groped two men at a private club. That triggered a series of reports about past allegations leveled against Pincher and questions about why Johnson promoted him to a senior job enforcing party discipline. Johnson's office initially said he wasn't aware of the previous accusations when he promoted Pincher in February. But by Monday, a spokesman said Johnson knew of allegations that were either resolved or did not progress to a formal complaint. When a former top civil servant in the Foreign Office said Johnson had been briefed about an allegation against Pincher in 2019, Johnson's office changed its story again, saying the Prime Minister had forgotten that Pincher was the subject of an official complaint. It was all too much for ministers who have been sent onto radio and TV to defend the government's position, only to find the position changed by the hour. The Pincher affair is the latest in a series of embarrassing incidents that have forced Johnson to do public U-turns. Critics questioned Johnson's ethics last year after a government report found that he had acted unwisely when he allowed a Conservative Party donor to settle an invoice for some of the redecorating costs of his Downing Street residence before paying it back. In the past few months, he has also been fined by police and slammed by an investigator's report over lockdown breaching parties in government during the COVID pandemic. In June, Lord Christopher Gheyt became the second ethics advisor to quit in less than 2 years, after admitting Johnson might have broke ministerial rules over the scandal dubbed Partygate. Johnson survived a no-confidence vote by his party in which 41% of Conservative lawmakers voted to oust him. His current problems are a fall from grace for Johnson, who led the Conservatives to a historic general election win in December 2019, helping them to secure the biggest parliamentary majority since Margaret Thatcher in 1987. The Conservatives ended up with 365 seats, a majority of 80 in the House of Commons, versus 203 for the opposition Labour Party. Through it all, he was vowed to carry on governing, suggesting last week that he wanted to stay in office until the 2030s. What could come next? British prime ministers are not directly elected by voters and instead are chosen to lead their party. As such, Johnson needs the support of fellow Conservative Party members to stay in power. Crucial to his leadership ambitions will be the 1922 Committee, a parliamentary group of legislators who are not ministers or ministerial aides. Sometimes dubbed the Men in Grey Suits, although its current executive committee of 18 members includes a number of women, their job is to represent the views of those parliamentarians to the party leader, and they play a key role in leadership elections, including determining the rules by which a sitting leader can be challenged. Under current rules, the leader must face a vote of confidence if 15% of the parliamentary party write to the committee chairman calling for one. But they also state that a leader cannot be challenged for 12 months if they survive one, which Johnson did on June 6th. The 1922 committee could meet as early as Monday to decide on a rules change. Labour leader Starmer could also call for a confidence vote in Johnson. His future will depend on what they decide. Some MPs have been talking about reducing the threshold from 12 months to 6, which could mean a vote in early December. Others reportedly want the issue of Johnson's future decided before the Commons break for the summer recess this month. Alternatively, the Prime Minister could choose to resign, triggering a leadership contest. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he did resign. Yeah, I believe he did. He agrees to resign as Prime Minister as of 3 hours ago. So that article was a little outdated, I guess, by a few hours. But quickly looking on Google here, Boris Johnson agrees to resign as Prime Minister. So those are some news stories for the day, for July 7th, 2022. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know what you guys want to see. I appreciate the comments. Please continue to leave comments. Let me know what kinds of videos you want to see. And if you like these videos, please like and subscribe. I'm really enjoying making them, and I would love your guys' feedback to know what you guys want to see and what you want to hear. So with that, I will say my goodbyes. I look forward to seeing you guys very soon, and have a wonderful night and weekend, and take care.